frontier.
Ladies and gentlemen, the following podcast is Wrestling Daft and is scheduled for 1 hour. Maybe more. It has no real time limits, making their way into your ears. First, from a place called Barneston, he is the Pyramid. Rab Florence!
It's going to be the funniest show ever because I'm all about the comedy and the money, baby.
How much you can pay?
And his partner, Fela Top End of Stevenson.
From Mexico City to Beef Community Centre, I've got stories that are going to blow your mind.
Hello and welcome to Wrestling Daft. My name is Rab Florence, and of course, it's no show without my man Grado there.
What are you saying to it, Rab? How are you feeling today?
Twosome are here.
Yes, on deck, mate. What do you think?
It's been a bit of Robson and Jerome, mate.
Aye.
It's been a bit of a week, It's been a bit of a week.
Sad news.
Now, listen, we need to... Obviously, we've got a show planned. Producer John always does a brilliant job of setting up a nice play sheet for us to run your favourite wrestling podcast. But we need to come off the book a wee bit. Yeah, be honest. We need to get straight with you. And the truth is, the show Wrestling Daft that you're listening to right now has been it's been canned, isn't it, Grado?
It's been sensationally axed.
It's been axed. Now, let me just explain a wee bit before we go any further. We're still going to give you a show. We're still going to give you, the version of the show that you enjoy and have enjoyed over these months. But this could very well be the last episode. Just to let you know that it's simple economics, folks. It's a money's business, and it's simple economics. And the simple fact of the matter is, the podcast just hasn't got the listeners that we'd hoped for. The pandemic has struck. Listeners have dropped off because of the pandemic. People aren't commuting as much. People aren't listening to podcasts as much. It's made it even harder to get advertising revenue. It's made it even harder to get money in the door. And producer John does... Listen, let's be straight here, Grado. Let's be straight, right? We jump on, or we used to jump into the studio, or we'd jump online on a Thursday or a Wednesday night or whatever, and John would have everything all prepared for us, and we just sit and then we just talk and then we just go away and John does it all. Right?
Aye.
That's a fact.
John is he's a master at what he does. We give him pelters on this show every week, but really, it would never be as enjoyable as what it is. I mean, I don't want to kiss the guy's pipe too much, but but he really is. He is the...
Aye.
But
John has a job. This is the thing.
This is his job.
John has a job. This is the thing. And the simple fact of the matter is John's talents at doing this kind of thing, setting up a show like this, all the work he does to get the feedback in and all that, and building up the show so we can step in and just do it.
Aye, because you remember he's working Monday to Friday.
Aye.
While we are just come on, maybe we'll speak to John for the week in the group chat, and then we come on for 2 hours one night a week, whereas John through the rest of the week is running the Twitter, editing it, amongst doing everything else that he's employed today off the...
And doing the sister show and recording the sister show, which he set up as well, and setting up the Marks podcast to just kind of help push the show along and stuff like that. And the simple fact of the matter is, if it's no bringing in the listeners and if the numbers aren't there, it's business, baby. John's talents are better used elsewhere, so it's completely understandable why it's happened. So we just want to let you know right up front on this episode to know that the position is this. This is, as far as we know, the last episode. Me and Grado need to talk and discuss what that means, because obviously me and Grado love doing the show. We love, we have a great laugh checking in with each other. It's been great, even just for the point of view of me and Grado getting a chance to just see each other every week and have a chat and stuff.
Oh,
like
totally.
That.
Because we hardly ever we saw each other before this. We text each other now and again, and we'd say, right, we need to meet up, because we're pals. But this has definitely brought us together.
Aye,
absolutely. And I love it.
Aye. And so the Pillsbury Doughboy laugh is in full effect. So obviously, we've got something to think about because as it stands, the show's away. We'll not get paid to do it, is the thing. And we know there is things like the Patreon and that, and we thank you very much for that. But even the Patreon doesn't cover the costs, what is involved in putting out the podcast. So it's a very, very difficult situation. We're going to march on with the show. But you'll forgive us, I think, if we kind of here and there,
But before we do that, Rab, I want to ask you, what do you want to do? What do you want to do? I mean, I love doing this every week. Obviously, I've got my Fit by Daft podcast, which I really enjoy doing. But I mean, sometimes I could be on that Fit by Daft podcast and they bring up players, man, and I'm like, he's good. He is good. And I'm sitting there going, asking my bird, no, that's Stephanie, who's that? It's a bit of redneck. We're his own here, man. I'm like, biff. And do you know what? Before I let you open the floor and answer the question, I really think quite a lot of the fans would be interested in my TNA career, which I don't think I've delved into as much as probably what the fans want me to. I mean, I signed in 2014, so some people forget that. Some people 2015, but actually it was 2014. Actually, it's 6 years to the day on September the 4th when I first wrestled EC3 in North Carolina.
Oh my God.
Who was back in, who, by the way, I just want to say, well, we will get into it, but I did watch a wrestling pay-per-view this weekend from start to finish, and I'll let you know just now and tell a little secret, it was not Extreme Rules.
Ooh. Okay. Wasn't it the horror show?
Yeah. I missed that. I've only heard updates about that through the grapevine and through the portal of Jim Kinnett's podcast, which you probably don't listen to. That's the only thing we really disagree on is Conley.
Aye. Well, in answer to your question, I'm kind of stuck. I'm in two minds. Obviously, I would like to carry on with it, but it's it's that thing. It's just going to be very tricky today, in the same form. And we need to think. We need to have a proper, real think about, and really open it up to the punters as well. When you hear this podcast, let us know what your feelings is about it as well. What your feelings are.
I mean, can I just step in here?
Step in, John.
Cut like a Drake Maverick promo. This podcast, was my baby. This was my brainchild. When we started doing Football Daft, I came in as producer of Football Daft, and I wanted to do a wrestling podcast. Grado got involved, brilliant, and then me and Grado were talking, who do we want on it? Who would be great? Who's a wrestling fan? Rab Florence. Now, it's been a roller coaster since then. We've had our ups, we've had our downs. But what we need is revenue. As simple as that. As Rab says, the COVID-19 struck every podcast across the world. But, we've not got the listeners that we need to get to where we want to. We need to get, at the moment, let's just shoot here. Let's just absolutely shoot. It's about 5,000 people with the Marks podcast. About 5,000 people listen to this each week. What we need is, we've got about 50 odd patrons from that 5,000. What we need is more patrons to get involved in this podcast. And what we need is 10,000 listeners. Because when we get to 10,000 listeners, we start making it profitable. Because Rab, start at Burniston, Grado, start everything. These guys don't do this just for they do it for the love. But these guys are busy. Rab's writing stuff for the BBC. Grado's got a radio show, working for the fire service, wrestling. Rab's got loads of other stuff going on. What we need is people.
Wayne's, I've got 100 Waynes.
He's got about 100 Waynes as well. So the time is a big thing for these guys as well, as much as they love doing it. And what we need is you to get involved. If you're a business owner out there, if you know a business owner who likes wrestling, we can sell your shit. We can cut promos. You can have Wrestling Daft with Bobby's Garages. We can have Bobby's Garages on Wrestling Daft. But what we need is your
Jimmy's Crisps.
We're going to keep
Margaret's Tablet.
All that. We love all that. We love Margaret's Tablet. Tilly's.
There's a woman on Facebook that sells cheese boards. Which, if you're listening to the show, Marianne and Kamal that sells the cheese boards. If you want to put a wee plug on this, no bother at all. I mean, I will go into how good your cheese boards are, but not until you can
give us some cash. And that's
yeah. But also, I know you're in the middle of the Drake Maverick game, right? And I love it, right? But we don't. Right, but no, as if we're getting hundreds of pounds for this. Do you know what I mean?
Not.
No.
He's aren't getting. He's at it on TV money. You aren't on the big. You aren't on the big John Cena money here. You know what I mean? I mean, you're jobbing out for this. You're jobbing out for this, you know? That's it. And, you know, we need people to get involved in this show. We really do. We need you guys to jump on Patreon, patreon.com/wrestling daft. Get signed up. Tell your mates to get listening. Any wrestling fan, get listening. Just tell them, listen, this is the fucking funniest wrestling podcast out there, right? The best. I would put up this against any wrestling podcast out there. And this is the best. And we need you on board for this.
It was a bit sweary, wasn't it? It was a bit, it's dropping the F-bombs on it.
Brilliant. John.
Good promo, mate. Good promo. Good promo. No, look, it's... Like, the people know, as it stands, the show is done, but it is in the people's hands, really, you know what I mean? It's in the people's hands. So let's, you know, it's a situation that's in flux, you know. Anyway, let's see what the punters have been saying. Let's not put too much...
We also... The content that we need to put on Patreon, I've done an interview. I'm ready to do hunters, mate. I'm ready to extra content that it takes for people to...
Aye, and I promise if you do sign up for Patreon, we'll make it worth your while. You know, we do need to do more to make this feel like many a community, which we haven't really done.
Because,
you know what I mean?
by the way...
Yeah.
Sorry, Rab, I keep cutting you off, but by the way, what a community it is, by the way, because when I come on here every week, I don't look at the script, right? I wait till you see it and see the stuff that people submit. Mm-hmm. The funniest stuff comes for you folk out there. It is. I'm like, wow, man. I get it.
It is a community. I mean, we do the rest. We do the Marks show, and we watch along with the guys, and we're watching Extreme Rules, and what a laugh! About 6 of us just sitting watching, 6 of our patrons sitting watching, and brilliant laugh, and it's a brilliant community. And I can name a lot of people that I can now classify as friends through just Wrestling Daft, because it's a brilliant community, and we don't want to lose it. I mean, you know, what happens, we're going to keep the Marks going, because I don't want to lose that community, because I think it's really important that people in Scotland, people across the world have somewhere to go for wrestling, and, you know, that's how passionate I am about it. We, you know, the Marks, as Rab says, we do this just to help this show. That I do that. Alex, who's my work colleague, Gary, who came on just as a wrestling journalist, we all do that just because we love this show so much, and we need to keep it going, guys. We really
and to put a broader context on it as well, it's like, because I suppose you could be there thinking, well, why do these not just keep doing it anyway? Just do it anyway for a laugh. And right now, and Grado will back me up here, what the situation is like. Right now, with me and Grado, as people who work in this industry, as freelancers, just kind of doing our own thing and whatever, it is hard times now. It is hard times now. Nothing's filming. No live stuff is happening. The industries have shut down. You know what I mean? So right now, it's like, you know, every minute, every hour of the day that I've got spare, I'm having to hustle. I'm having to hustle like fuck, because what I'm looking at is there's no money coming in. There's no money coming in. You know what I mean? I don't know when the money's going to come in next month. I don't know what money's coming there the month after that or the month after that. There used to be a time in the past where if, you know, this is total shit stuff here, of a time in the past where if I was like, quite tight for the next few months, I could go things or something to get a bit of money in. That's gone. Can't do that now. So now it's got to be hustle, spend time writing, trying to get pots on the boil, trying to kind of do something, trying to pivot into something else. So it's a very, very tight time now. So it's really no as simple as just going, well, we can do stuff for a laugh, because it's a scary time, isn't it, Grado?
It so is. I mean, look at it like that's our last. I mean, obviously, we're not the only people on this sport. There's loads of folk out there that are in exactly the same position and probably worse than us, right? And if I doubt they're worse than us, there's no ifs or buts about that. But I last wrestled in March, and looking at it right now, it doesn't look as if I'm going to wrestle until next March. So that's a big chunk. No wrestling, man. I hate it, but I mean, when are we going to be able to wrestle again? It's going to be a full year out of wrestling. We don't have, TV shows to do internet shows without a crowd and stuff like that. That's just not happening right now. It's just the way it is in the UK. So there's no way of putting on a show, which is shite. So as you say, we're having to spend every minute of the day try to get something. And we're not the only person. There's, for as many as me and Rab, there's like fucking 300 other folk in this country doing the exact same thing.
Mm-hmm. So It's tough. It's a tough situation for everybody. You know what I mean?
If you are a business out there, and I'm going to go back to that, if you are a business, you want to get involved, you want sponsorship on this podcast, you want us to read out whatever you want us to read out, we'll do it. We're no shit. Whatever product.
And negotiate was because it probably won't be as expensive as you think.
What, exactly?
Probably won't be as expensive as you think.
If Margaret wants to sell a tablet, I'll take a couple of fucking.
Just a tablet would do.
You know what I mean?
Just a fucking tablet.
Please DM us on Twitter, or you can get me personally on my email, john@thisisaudiofrontier.com. That's john@thisisaudiofrontier.com.
And honestly, don't discount what Patreon does as well. Even if you signed up for Patreon at the lowest amount, you know what I mean? And if everybody did that, the show would be gone forever. The show would be gone forever if everybody went on at the lowest amount. So anyway, let's
for that we're brand new.
Apart from getting canned, it's brand new. So correspondence for last episode. Thanks to Andy Muirhead, by the way. He's the first to enter Grado's TNA check drawing competition. If you don't know what that is, you need to listen to episode 35 of this great podcast.
I'm still trying to find. Well, I've not even looked at it yet, but I do know I have a stack of TNA checks up the house. It's because I'm with my girlfriends. I've not actually been up the house, but that was Philip Schofield's idea, by the way. He kind of said, "Look, if you don't stay with your bud, you need to make a decision. Stay in the house or go with your bud." So I went my words. Anyway.
Well played, mate. Well played.
You know what I mean? I'm enjoying it. You know what I mean?
Andy Muirhead's done a drawing, Bank of Wrestling Daft. There it is. Pay Rab and Grado. I'm getting paid here. 10,000 fat ones. It says 10,000 quid. It's a beauty. It actually looks. I would fall for that. It looks like a check.
It's fucking no far off, similar to what Bob Ryder sent me.
Lots of love for last week's section where Grado's brother reviewed the Big Show show. In fact, Pablo's been in touch with another recommendation for him to review. Fit Finley's Irish wrestling documentary, which you'll find on YouTube. So Grado, let's just kid on. There's another episode coming. Maybe you could get your brother to do that for the future. Now, in our quest to book the one and only Bingo Balance of WrestleZone onto the show,
was there a clip of this thing going on, or you got to put it in?
No. There's no clip. John had told me he couldn't find the clip.
Right, okay, brilliant.
Aye, so we wanted to book Bingo Balance. That could have turned it round for us, by the way, I think, if we'd have got Bingo Balance on the show.
If only we had, well, don't get me wrong, is there somebody that I heard rumours that somebody's managed to, they've not managed to contact him, but they've got a lead to Bingo.
Kirk Cooper, last week's Listener of the Week, has been back in touch. He says, another class listen this week, he says, if he's they genuinely want a word with Bingo, I'll try and hook it up.
If he's they generally want a word with Bingo. It's brilliant.
I worked a few shows with him for the Wrestling Live hour here before I fell out with the promoter or a Human Centipede spot at a family show. We should be able to get the hookup still. Beautiful.
I want to know more about the argument between him and the. Nah, I'm not doing
I want to see the spot. I want to see the spot.
There's Wayne's out there. No, I mean, it's like. Remember, I tell you before about Shane Douglas came out in a family show. There's about 20 folk there. There's Wayne's out here.
After last week's comparison to Grado and the Golden Girls, we asked if the Golden Girls are wrestlers, who would be who? Shun Ken Poo says that Blanche would be Matt Riddle. Tart, he says. Matt Riddle's a tart. Rose would be Seth Rollins. Airhead. Come on now. Dorothy, Kevin Owens, blunt voice of reason. Sophia, Vince losing the plot. Now, hold on. Sophia wasn't losing the plot. This is all wrong. Sophia was sharp as a tack. Sophia was sharper than anybody. That's all wrong. Sophia was a great promo, by the way. Sophia was a great promo. Grado's like, what the fuck are they talking about?
I've never seen Golden Girls for that. Is it like Glow?
Oh, it's not like, mate. No,
I'm just totally getting the hang of this. Stick with this fucking hanging on.
Fraser Smith says Rose is Mick Foley due to slight naivety of character.
Hold on, all these people know about Golden Girls.
Aye, around Mr. McMahon during the build-up. It's not like Golden Girls is some obscure. It's like a massively popular American sitcom back in the day. Blanche, Latino
Taxi. Taxi.
Aye, kinda. Blanche, Latino Heat, Eddie Guerrero. Don't know about that. Sophia, Al Snow. Nah. Many jobs equal to gimmicks. Like, nah. Dorothy, Ric Flair. Nah, this isn't right. Chris says Blanche is Shawn Michaels, Texan and a bit slutty. Rose Hacksaw Jim Duggan? What? No. Dorothy Jack Tunney, resemblance there? Come, what? And Sophia Bobby Heenan. That's a good one, by the way.
Is it?
Sophia being Bobby Heenan.
Class, man.
No, it's not quite right. Maybe, oh, jeez. I'm
Right,
trying to think. Gorilla Monsoon, Dorothy. Oh, it's tough. Anyway, I'm moving on for this because I could do this all night. Now, finally, after Rab tweeted this, I tweeted this today. I am offering my services to WWE as a creative. This is what I'm talking about.
Yeah, Rab, can I just take a pause just 2 minutes? Just take her back for the toilet. Is that all right?
I know worries. I'll just carry on with it. I'll just carry on with this bit.
Right, okay, you do it, mate.
Grado's looking after away in here.
Everything all right, isn't it?
So this is what I tweeted, right? I am offering my services to WWE as a creative. I promise. Still hear him. I promise immediate results. I want to work from home in Scotland. I have decades of experience writing for TV, and I've promoted my own wrestling shows. Just holler, I says. Now, a few listeners have been in touch about that. Paul says, only if you write one of the student angles. Reference to...
Was a student angle?
My show. No idea what that would be. Calzo says they'd all be wearing wigs. They wear a lot of wigs. While Michael asks, what's the first match or angle you would book with the current roster?
Oh, good question.
Now, that's very interesting. Now, up until The Undertaker retired, right, I had a great idea for what I would do. If Vince McMahon got me into the WWE and says, what would you do, right? I says to him, well, here's what I would do, something that I feel like you've never really done properly, and you should do. You should treat your wrestling shows properly like a season for WrestleMania to WrestleMania, which you pretend you do, but you don't actually do. You pretend you do that, but you don't actually do it. And I thought, you should, your whole season, for one WrestleMania to the next, should be about how The Undertaker retires, about The Undertaker leaving the wrestling business. It should be about that. And it should be a heel Undertaker on his road out, deciding that when he goes, he's taking everybody with him. He's taking down the WWE. He's going to leave it just decimated dust behind him. Right? This was my idea I had before. I says, let's just build everything around that. Let's have The Undertaker putting together his own kind of faction. Let's have The Undertaker getting involved in everything. Let's have The Undertaker, his influence being across everything. You never knowing where he's going to turn up and stuff like that. Have the whole... And Undertaker's away now, so you can't do anything like that. But it would still be... I would still take that approach. I would take that approach of going, look at your wrestling year for season to season. Look at it for WrestleMania to WrestleMania, and don't make it just about, you know, one particular rivalry or building up one particular guy. Do one big overarching story. One big story that goes right over the top of everything. Sometimes they try it. Sometimes they've done an interesting thing with Sasha and Bayley. Their relationship has always been quite interesting, and it continues to be quite interesting, their relationship, and they've done quite well with them over the years, teasing things and stuff like that, but they're always scared to pull the trigger. Lost all the new. I'm very impressed with Drew. I need to be honest. I think he's doing so well in that champion role. I think it looks, like I said last week, it looks legitimate. I think it looks really good. I like Seth in the role that he's in just now, but we're going to come to all that later. We're going to come to Extreme Rules later, I'm sure. Let's move on now. If you want to get in touch with us about any of that stuff or random wrestling related stuff, you can get us on Twitter at Wrestling Daft, on Insta Wrestling Daft Podcast, and just Wrestling Daft on Facebook, or email wrestlingdaft@gmail.com. And this time, please take the opportunity to get in touch and just give messages of support and love. Now, every week we like to separate the good from the bad in wrestling. I'm not saying this. The Burlistons and John has put in a show here that he obviously
Mrs. Brown's Boys.
See, I
know. Sorry, you shouldn't. I shouldn't have written that because you shouldn't be, ethics. You shouldn't, slate any other comedy writer. But Mrs. Brown's Boys is pure shite.
No. Mrs. Brown's Boys is a massively successful comedy show, which is one of the hardest things in the world today.
Mrs. Brown's boy isn't sitting on a bare Wednesday night talking shit about wrestling for a couple of coppers.
Fucking exactly, mate. Exactly, mate. Exactly. I want to bury that swamp match.
Right.
Rotten. I want to bury that swamp match. I want to. You know what? I want to bury the Fiend, man. I want to bury the Fiend. I think I'm done with it.
Really?
I think I'm done with it.
I thought he patched it and was back to being the cunt with the straw hat.
No, I mean the Fiend came back again, and it's I'm done with it. And I want to, you know what? I know this isn't a bury or put over really, but I've been seeing Seth Rollins and Rey Mysterio getting a lot of pelters for that match because of the daft eye carry on and stuff like that. But
well, I mean,
I think with the daftness involved, I think they did a good job.
I mean, I only typed it in and watched the bit with the eyeball comes out because I have no interest, right? But could they not go a better eyeball with all that kind of, with that makeup artistry and etc. etc. Was it not just?
It was like a wee kid on eyeball that he was holding, but you only see it very briefly. Anyway, what I want to put over is Eddie Kingston appearing on AEW, a brilliant promo challenging Cody. I love a legit promo like that. You know what I mean?
Eddie Kingston is cool. He's a cool guy, man.
But he's a fighter, right? He's got that. He's got that legit feel about him.
Oh, I mean, he is. He's pure. And see all that New York. He is totally in amongst all that. He's for the Bronx. They all walk about the streets. It's like, see what you see in the films. He's all involved in that. I've listened to his stories. So is Santana. Is it Santana? With the bandana. I know the one with the afro. And the new LA. Is it LA? Oh, shit. Is it LAX? Huh?
Is it LAX?
Oh, yeah.
Aye, right. Well, I mean, they've got mental stories, man. They are real. They live the gimmick, man. They've told me stories about the mob and the mafia.
Well, this is a thing, man. Did you see the promo?
Can I watch it now?
Well, it's like too long. It's like 15 minutes long. It's not really 15 minutes long, right? But basically, he says he's like going out to Cody and he says, "Oh, you're talking about grinding and about like fucking the hard work that he's done and stuff like that." And he's like, "You grew up with legends. I mean, you grew up with legends like Arn Anderson. When about I grew up with alcoholics and junkies, and it was just a proper like. It's a beautiful promo.
You know what? I love all that stuff because I just hold on. There was something I was going to say. By the way, shout out a wee memorial to Z-Bar who passed away this week. A CZW Z-Bar died. So don't laugh, Rab.
Sorry, I didn't realise you were going to announce a death.
Sorry, mate. Well, it's just there you go. So we lost Z-Bar, who was a big wrestler in CZW, and it's quite depressing. I was actually talking to Sanjay Dutt the other night because he was part of that CZW era, 2002, and the amount of guys that have lost their lives.
Really?
That era. Oh man, you've got Rockin' Rebel who shot himself, and I think he shot. Can't remember. Shot somebody else. We lost. See, now I'm forgetting all of them. But there was.
Don't laugh, mate. I'm talking about people dying.
Nate Hatred died. Chris Cash died in an accident about 10 years ago. Trent Acid, who was amazing. Do you know what I mean? So it was a really another sad death in wrestling.
We're keeping it upbeat. Right, let's go to see what the punters are saying. John wants to put over Gallows and Anderson going to Impact.
Right, okay, can I get my chance? Because you do know I watched a show this week. I stayed up and watched it. Do you know what I mean? So
give me it.
I stayed up. I ordered the pay-per-view. I did ask to see if I could get a wee login off the boys at TNA because I've got some previous issues. Unfortunately, that didn't come in time, so I had to buy it from Fight TV, $19.99, totally worth the money. From the outset, first opinions was I just thought to myself, come on, get a few cunts off the street and make a bit of noise. They're still doing that whole completely empty arena carry on.
Mm-hmm.
Do you know what I mean? It was a good wee surprise seeing Motor City Machine Guns. I love the North. They're a great tag team. Ethan Page and Josh Alexander. I think they're brilliant. I've held the tag titles for a year. Love the match of Motor City Machine Guns. Heath Slater coming out was good, but the microphone was shite. Because I've started doing radio now, I'm kind of getting into sound and all that, Rab. I'm liking, sound quality and stuff like that. Do you know what I mean? And the processing of the sound and all that push, right? Sound wasn't good. I didn't enjoy the women's gauntlet match.
Here we go. It's the last episode of the podcast, and finally Grado cares about good sound.
Finally, Grado's watched some fucking wrestling. Jesus
Finally, he's watched a wrestling show and all.
so I watched that. What else happened? I'm sitting there, and I thought, what was other matches? And the main event was absolutely cracking. Eric Young coming back, who looked like a badass, who wasn't playing the tomfoolery character that he played in TNA. He was up for business. Don't get me wrong, there was an awful swerve when they brought out Rich Swann. Totally swerved me. I was texting my mate who's at showing. I'm going, this is shite. I love Rich Swann, but you can't fucking swerve us like that. Then the next minute, Eric Young comes out, yada yada yada. Great match. Bit disappointed in EC3. No, I suppose they need to get ratings for their TV.
Not having any business really.
They cock teased that just at the end. Thought it was good seeing Gallows and Anderson coming out, even if the funniest bit was look, Gallows tripping out his high heels when he was walking down the ring. This big amazing debut, and they're walking down cool as a cat, man. He trips out his high heels.
What's your take on why EC3 didn't really work at WWE? What happened there?
I'll tell you right here now. I have absolutely no idea because for me, he is a star.
I thought he'd have strapped a rocket to him at WWE.
He is what exactly wrestling needs right now. He can talk his arse off. He's got a great look. His music in TNA 10 times better than his WWE one, but things like this matter to me. I have no idea because he. And I thought to myself, because he went to SmackDown pretty early after NXT, and I thought, right, here we go. But then he was just in the matches with No Way Jose. Do you know what I mean? You listening, Rab?
I'm listening. I'm trying to tell Jen to come and say hello. Come and say hello to Grado. Sorry, I'm just... It's the last episode of the podcast.
So we're getting more family and all that one tonight, aren't we?
Come and say hello to everybody.
Hi, Jen. How you doing, pal? You all right?
Hello.
How you doing, pal? Good to see you.
Good.
Thanks for coming. Oh, it's even better to see you. You've turned up for the finale. The Wrestling Daft finale. It's the goodbye party, and let's
up for the Patreon if you want to see Jen on the podcast.
And trust me, you want to see Jen. Okay, right here now, you want to see Jen. All right, if you're listening.
And trust me, you'll want to see Jen.
You really, really will. You really will.
On the bus there, Grado.
Bye. So, I don't understand why it didn't happen for EC3. And by all accounts, he's a good guy, that as well. So I don't really know what the deal is. Don't know what the deal is.
He's a great guy. He really totally reminded me of The Rock. I know that might sound daft, but he really was for me the next Rock. I mean, I love him. I've got a freaking...
Mate, you're the next Rock. Let's see what the punters are saying. So John put over Gallows and Anderson, and he wants to bury eye for an eye match at Extreme Rules. There we go. Scott wants to put over Slammiversary and the return of the Motor City Machine Guns, probably my favourite ever TNA tag team.
Oh, well, he's obviously not saying me and Mahaba Lashina. We were a good tag.
And wants to
in fact, it was Old Hardly Great and Mahaba Lashina.
And wants to bury, this is Scott, Bray Wyatt and his pish swamp match. Everything for lack of alligators to his shite wee fairy lights. He got out of the range. Beautiful. Brian wants to put our Gallows and Anderson Talking Shop podcast after the release. No heard that. Who doesn't love a good shit interview? No heard it. Plus their appearance on Being the Elite afterwards was even better. And wants to bury that dopey fucking eyeball shite. If you're going to have a shite idea, at least execute it right. David wants to put our Jericho getting drenched with OJ, then complaining for the rest of the show. Jericho's just continues to be fantastic. I love how he's calling himself the demo god now. Have you seen this?
Oh, I hate that.
Oh, do you, John?
You hate? Why do you hate it?
Just what wrestling fan cares about demographics? That's fucking marketers that go on about demographics.
I just think it's funny because you're saying wrestling fans don't care about demographics. No, every single day on Twitter, I see wrestling fans talking about demographics.
Mate, if there's any fan base in the entertainment business that wants to know about the nook and crannies and demographics, it's fucking wrestling fans, man. They wait for, Dave Meltzer to say, NXT go to the 35s to 42s that fucking smoke. Do you know what I mean? All that kind of carry on.
This is why also the listeners would want to hear about the fact we only get 5,000 listeners and we get shit canned because of it. Because they love all that stuff.
What a redneck, man.
They love the stats.
I'm going to get well bammed up off my wrestling pals. Go and check you, man.
I know.
Fucking.
Paul wants to put over a great week in wrestling. Great AEW, NXT, SmackDown, amazing Slammiversary, the horror show, minus the obvious matches, Raw and Impact on Tuesday, all great. I just want to say quickly as well, sorry, let's finish what Paul says. He wants to bury anyone who actually thought Ray was going to lose his eye. That's like someone in EastEnders really being given the milky dafties. I just want to say, I kind of feel almost like, setting aside Drew for a minute, because obviously we know him and he's doing an absolutely brilliant job and stuff like that. I think that Sasha and Bayley are maybe the best things going in WWE just now. I just feel as if there's a real star power about them now. Bayley has, in the past 12 months, Bayley has just became something really special, I think. Really special. Karate Warrior 2 wants to bury any WWE dirt sheet mark who dares talk shite about any of Vince Russo's booking. When 2020 WWE pulls bonkers garbage like plucking out a wrestler's eyeball, adding chunder reaction, then assuring everybody the victim was perfectly fine before the end of the show. #puke.
He's got a great point in terms of this booking is very similar to something that you would see 20 years ago on WCW. The orange juice coming. I mean, I'm not talking about WWE here, but just for example, AEW doing the orange juice spot was, Russo started that way with Gangrel. I watched an old WCW the other night with Billy Kidman and Hulk Hogan, and I think the same thing happened as well. It's weird that I think in 10 years' time, they're going to, unless they get their act together, man, we are going to look back at all this shit and go, what?
Aye. It's going to be the weirdest period to look back on, all these empty arenas and all that. Stephen wants to bury Ray losing an eye, and also Braun basically being drowned, so he's no deed. And wants to put her Bayley for acting like a proper wee fanny, like I was saying. Ali wants to put her the Good Brothers debut and their class new entrance music. New entrance music is good. And wants to bury the eye for an eye match. James wants to put over Alexa Bliss as Sister Abigail, even though the match was shite. No, that was all shite. And wants to bury Rab, Florence and Ian Connell for no doing a legit season 2, even though it's their best show by far. We would love to have done more of that show.
What show after series 2 what are you talking about?
Legit was a show we did that had Jordan was in it. Jordan for Scott.
That's mad.
Was in
remember
it.
that? That was Jordan Young singer. I remember that. That was that not kind of dead East Coasty?
It was a wee bit. And it was,
I really enjoyed that. That was the first time. Who was the heavier guy?
That was the first show I was involved in that got axed. But no. But as we've now found out, no, the last.
What programs have been axed more than me and you? I think I'm maybe winning. What do you think? World of Sport, Test Drive.
Was Test Drive axed?
Axed.
Right. Let's just say the creators have decided to concentrate on that fucking show on ITV where they come out and dressed as fucking mad ostriches and all that, and you have to guess who's behind them. Aye, mate. So they fucked me off. I remember they were like that to me. We've got great news when we were doing Test. Like, we've got great news. You'll love it. This is great. We've just got the rights to the Masked Singer. It's a big show in America. And I was like, am I got to be in it? And they were like, no, man, no. And I'm like, how's this good news for me?
Well, I had a legit get canned. The Sunny didn't happen. Get canned. What else?
I was in the Sunny. That counts as
you were in the Sunny, mate. You were, so I guess we share that one. The state of it has been kind of. They've went. We'll see. It's we're not making more than now. That vague kind of thing.
By the way, speaking of Scottish comedy, sorry,
I call that a canon, mate. What?
I need to stop cutting you off. I can't follow.
No, sorry. It's the last episode.
How funny was that? How funny was that Sasquatch segment?
Oh, it was very funny.
That was very funny. Come on, you get out.
Aye.
I thought that. Who's that guy? He was brilliant, man.
Is that they may contain nuts, guys, and their sketches are always really funny. In their sketches, they always say cash only in all their sketches.
Really, oh, mate.
Cash only.
Cash only, hen.
Aye. Cash only. And I really like
that.
I really like it. I really like it. But that's essentially a podcast on telly. What that may contain.
Right. I didn't know that. I'll need to listen to a podcast.
Good stuff. Anyway. So Ben Hall wants to put over the butcher for remembering to get a spare set of keys for the truck cut for Timpsons. Bury, FTR being unable to start the truck when they got the keys back, so the cameramen had to walk away so it looked like they were moving. Yep. Stephen wants to put over Impact for the talent they've acquired and seeing what they do with them in the coming months. So they're bringing in a lot of people.
Aye.
And wants to bury the fans yet again for moaning about Nyla Rose this time because she's aligned herself with Vicky Guerrero. Just let it unfold in front of your eyes, he says. Just let it unfold in front of your eyes. Ian McIntyre says, bury wrestling. No, please just actually bury it. It's dead. Cinematic matches have killed it. Dead. And
We've not done a cinematic match shit, Rab. I think me and you could do a good cinematic match.
I think we could do a good cinematic match. I think that would be brilliant, man.
Or Lesgun, that.
Ian McIntyre wants to put over anybody willing to step up and admit this unfortunately undeniable fact. That fact being, remember, that wrestling is dead.
Can I just say it seems like that eyeball match, it wasn't the greatest spectacle.
Fucking brilliant, man. Woo! So here's a new part of the show that we've done. This is the second time we've done it. Still new, second time we've done it. Last time we'll do it, obviously it's the last episode. It's a run-in. We get one of you punters gets to come on, and so you know, you get to ask us any question you want, but this time it's really the roles are reversed because we're going to surprise this person with the news that they're on the last episode of Wrestling Daft. So let's get the run-in happening then. Who's coming in?
Matthew's making the run-in today.
Matthew's making the run-in. Let's talk, Grado, like we've been.
Aye.
Like we're talking to each other, and then he's interrupted us. Just waiting for.
Aye. So and then, do you know what? They sent me the script through, and I thought, what the hell? Do you know what I mean? You might have seen it. It was so poorly written, Robert. You know what I mean?
What is it? Well, this is the thing. So you don't think you'll be filming? Oh, who's this?
What the fuck is that?
Who is this? It's Matthew Haggerty. How you doing, Matthew?
He's not connected to audio. Matthew,
How you
you switch on your audio.
Is this his first time on Zoom?
How you doing, Matthew?
Oh.
Right.
You need the belt and wave, son.
You need to switch on your microphone.
Come on, kid. You've got 5 minutes.
I mean, this is just perfect for the last episode, isn't it?
Can you hear us, Matthew?
Right, we can't hear you, mate.
We can't hear you.
You got a microphone in your computer. Matthew.
You need to sign up to a Patreon to see this, by the way, because this
Connect
is just
to audio, Matthew.
You need to connect your audio,
mate. He's maybe just pure. He's starstruck. Look, he just doesn't know what to say in it. He's just like
Matthew. It's the last episode.
You need to get your.
He's shouting.
Bather or not? He's asking for help in here.
He's like, Granny, get me a mic. Granny, get me a mic off Argos.
He's now doing sign like he's definitely asking for help.
Somebody's on the it's like someone's on the phone.
And he's got dial-up.
Somebody's on the dial-up.
Someone's on the dial-up.
Somebody's phoning the WWF news line.
He's this poor boy will be so nervous right now going, I've got...
I know, it's a shame. What's happened? He's frozen now.
He's completely frozen. This is totally fucking...
He's frozen. We're just looking at his face.
I have a vape.
He's back. He's moving again.
He's heeding his songs.
He's apologising. I'm so sorry. He's saying, I'm so sorry. He just wants this to be over.
This feature is went so...
He just wants this.
He looks like he could be greeting now.
Put your earphones on. Put your earphones on so you can hear us. Can you hear us? Put your earphones on. This is the last episode of Wrestling Daft. You're on. So give us a wave goodbye. Blow us a kiss. If you can hear us, blow us a kiss because this is the last ever episode and you're on it, Matthew Haggerty. And we could have heard your voice. It would have been a magical moment. He's frozen.
He's gone.
It's just desperately sad, isn't it?
He's gone. I think this guy,
fucking bounce him.
Matthew, what a fucking great idea, John, for a segment. I reckon. I reckon Matthew's going to shut out his laptop.
He's away.
Just forget that he's away. He's completely away.
You just made the list!
Time for the List of Wrestling Daft now. Best tag teams. Every week we ask for you guys to vote in a List of Wrestling Daft. This week, after the diabolical karaoke and SmackDown, we thought, why not put the worst segments in wrestling against the best tag teams ever? Since there's been a lot of discussion recently about the revitalisation of tag team wrestling. And with 55% of the vote, it was the tag teams that won it. So it's me doing my top 3 tag teams this time. Okay. So my number 3 is going to have to be the New Age Outlaws. Now, the reason why I say the New Age Outlaws is because the New Age Outlaws at number 3 are everything I really shouldn't enjoy in wrestling. I think individually, they guys, like the Road Dogg. Well, here's the weird thing about Road Dogg and Billy Gunn. They don't even look as if they fit together, never mind in the same stable or anything. They don't even look...
pals.
No, they don't even seem like they're guys that would hang about with each other or anything.
No.
You know what I mean? But yeah, you put the 2 guys together and pay-per-views, they were so good. A pay-per-view used to open up and that was the first thing you would hear was them coming out to wake up the crowd. And the matches were always good as well, man. The matches were always good.
But
always good matches.
It's funny you say that because it's like Road Dogg was like the mad catty fucking golf pal and Billy Gunn's like the kind of cheeky Nando's. Do you know what I mean? That kind of...
Aye, I bet you a kind of Spice
Skinny
Boy
jeans
type guy.
Nike Air Max and all that, and Road Dogg's more kind of DCs and listens to Papa Roach.
100%.
And he badass Billy Gunn listens to DJ Bad Boy.
100%. This has been a really hard one for me to make this list. I had to put the New Age Outlaws on it because I love the Attitude Era, and they were kind of a big part of the identity of the Attitude Era. But I also loved when I was a wee guy, I loved the Legion of Doom, and I loved Demolition. And there was, and even when I was a wee guy as well, it's like, I'll tell you something. Who I didn't love the British Bulldogs.
Oh,
British Bulldogs used to bore me.
Really?
I used to be kind of bored watching the British Bulldogs. I'm not joking. I used to be bored watching them. There's also things like the Outsiders, for example, right? Kevin Nash and Scott Hall, which I don't really count as a tag team. I kind of feel like they didn't have a long enough run. And then there's also to make this list. I've really struggled making it. But I think my number 2 best tag teams of all time, I think my number 2 is going to have to be, oh my God, I'm really conflicted about this. My number 2 is going to have to be, it's going to have to be the Legion of Doom. I'm going to have to go for the Legion of Doom. I need to go with my heart here. I need to go with my heart. And I'll say again, I really feel, I'll talk about this in a minute, but Legion of Doom, just when I was a wee guy, they were like something, they didn't even feel like they were necessarily part of WWE. They just felt like something different. They felt as if they came from somewhere different. They always had a kind of indie vibe about them. And I loved all that. I loved that Mad Max shit. I loved that Mad Max kind of look, the big fucking shoulder pads, none of the face paint. I remember when I was a wee guy, I had a Legion of Doom bandana I used to wear all the time when I was a wee guy. And I loved them. And just, oh, what a rush. No, it was just great. They were so weird as well. They were weird. Do you know what I mean? I thought their finishing move was one of the best tag team finishing moves ever. And I just couldn't look past them. Now, going to come at my number 1 here, right? I feel very bad that the New Day only on this list, right, of tag teams. I feel very bad about it because I think once a few more years have passed, if we were doing this list again in 5 years, New Day would be number 1, probably.
They're not really a tag team, really, as a faction.
You know,
It's a faction.
This is the weird thing about them, but they kind of are a tag team, aren't they, as well? But I just think in 5 years' time, when we look back, they could easily be my number 1. A big fan of Edge and Christian's work as well, when they did their things together.
I didn't like Edge and Christian when I was a baby.
Really, they were so funny and all that, and I loved all that. But my number 1 has to be, because when I think about a tag team, a professional wrestling tag team, and I'm keeping it in Western wrestling, right? I'm not doing my usual thing of coming out with Japanese tag teams and that, right? If we're talking about American wrestling, when I was a wee guy, I used to see these guys and I used to go, I would be terrified to fight them. I would be terrified if that tag team were to fight me in a match, can you guess who I'm talking about?
I'm going to go for...
I would be terrified. I mean, I would actually be shitting myself.
It's no Demolition, is it?
It's the Steiner brothers.
Oh, mate, what a shout. What a shout. Definitely, man.
It's the Steiners. I used to watch you guys when I was young, and I would see, because obviously I was like a big WWF fan, and then when I'd look at WCW and you'd see the Steiners and WCW, and they were terrifying. They were terrifying, and then they were just such a brilliant. They worked together so brilliantly well, unbelievably athletic. Every single move looked so sore. Everyone looked so sore. They looked like they completely dismantled people, took people apart. Scott Steiner, I know new Scott Steiner has become like a kind of different kind of character, a big giant personality, a very caricature type guy now. But you have to remember, you know, and I hope people out there do remember this, that Scott Steiner in his youth, when he was with the Steiner brothers, was just one of the most unbelievably athletic, legitimate looking, frightening wrestlers that you could ever see. You know what I mean?
Aye, because do you know what? Obviously, that was before. See, that was kind of before my time. But it's amazing when I go back and watch the Steiner brothers now, and I see Steiner doing a Hurricane Rana and all that. You're like, biffed.
Yeah, unbelievable.
No chance, man.
Just unbelievable. You know what I mean? And then Rick would come in, and he just looked like he could just punch you right out your boots. You know what I mean? And then you had Scott doing all the incredible stuff that he could do. They were just a great tag team. I'm so sorry people like the Heart Foundation and all that who are obviously brilliant.
Aye, shout out to the Heart Foundation because you weren't in the list.
Very, very tough.
Am I allowed to say my favourite tag team?
Of course.
My favourite tag team, can you guess? Rab?
Your favourite tag team? Well, the NTNA.
Do you know what? America's Most Wanted were up there, right? I wasn't such a great lover of Beer Inc. I was very much a fan of with Triple X when they were.
What your favourite tag team is?
Who?
The Dudleys.
Aye.
Is it?
Absolutely, aye.
Yep.
100% love the Dudley boys.
Aye, I know,
man.
fuck's sake.
Absolutely. Again, I actually watched a documentary on WWE Network, and I'd never seen it before, and I was surprised at that, but I just seen you go back and watch how they were made in ECW and how they feuded with each other because there was Devon Dudley and how Devon Dudley got his character for Samuel Jackson in Pulp Fiction. And it's amazing to see Bubba Ray. And man, he was a big fat shite back in the day. See the ECW matches, he was a big strob. A big strob. But see that boofed, loved it as soon as they came out. Loved their gear, loved their finisher, all that. I mean, that was totally like we are pals. You know, where's it? You know what I mean? I know they got it after Budweiser, carry on, but get the tables. But and then when Bubba Ray come back at the Royal Rumble after having such an amazing stint in TNA as a legit badass. I mean, he is a bully. He's Bully Ray. It's funny, man. I tagged with him once in fucking Marietta, Ohio, and there was like a sign on the front door. No guns, and it was like you're done in Clipper, and it was like the gun for fucking Clipper. It was used as like the wee bit. It was like an A4 paper. Do not bring Clipper to a gun in here. And I was like, what?
Oh my god!
Guns should be in. Anyway, so I tagged with him against Colt Cabana and Hornswoggle, and oh my god, a tag team that my memory fades me. I hope they're not listening, right? If they're for America, man. But they were brand new. If you're listening, you were cool, man. But do you know that way? I was tagging with Bubba Ray, right? And I had all these ideas. I was like, right. Well, Dairy Free D and that, right? He's like, nah, man. I'm like, then I'm trying to get my hokey stuff in on my gaga, and I'm like, right, you do this thing where, like, I'm trying to just think of something that I would come up with, like, do you know, just things like maybe I stun in your tees and you go, do you know this or this kind of stuff? Maybe slap my head. He's going, nah, man, you're all right. I caught with Bubba Ray was going, nah, you're all right. And do you know what? But he was great, man. The first time I met him, have I tell the story when he caught me? I moved about like a big bag of milk. No.
Oh, aye.
See, I'm fucking you. Rail, you mildly amuse me. You move around like an old bag of milk, but you entertain me. And he gave me this advice. I've probably told it before. I was like, "You're kind of fat, aren't you?" And he's like, "What?" I was like, "I mean, you're kind of bigger, aren't you?" And he was like, "Wait." I goes, "Well, how do I stop myself from blowing up in the ring?" And he's like, The key to not blowing up in the ring is to not think about it. Don't think about blowing up and you won't blow up. Of course, ever since he told me that, every time I fucking get in the ring, I think about blowing up.
That's the thing. I suppose it's something to do about keeping relaxed and just like letting your breathing just be natural and no be like, I need to keep my breath and all that kind of stuff.
Remember, I also told me when he was like, he goes, go like this when you're, breathe like this, man, Ken do this, when you hang, breathe like this. And fucking man, I remember, I think I must have wrestled Shah or something, and he gave me that advice, and I'm going, and Shah's like, you all right, mate? I'm fine, it's my new hang.
I imagine that would make you worse. Right, so let's see what the punters are saying. John says the Hart Foundation. Not only do you have the technical ability of Bret Hart and the strength of Jim Neidhart, but also Jimmy Hart as manager at the early stages of the tag team, one of the best tag teams of that era. Such good matches with the Killer Bees at Rockers Demolition, of course, definitely. Agreed, John. Scott says my favourite is the Dudleys, but Rab will pick some obscure Japanese tag team at Nikon and Terdy. Well, didn't he? Although the Steiners did wrestle quite regularly in Japan.
I fought for that.
I'll have you know that they did wrestle in Japan a lot. Dale says my favourites as a young lad in the early 90s were LOD, but for sheer entertainment and putting their bodies through hell, Team Extreme are definitely up there. The pop the Hardy Boys got returned at WrestleMania 33 is a surprise addition to a Fatal 4-Way. Still makes my hair stand up. Hardy Boys, great tag team.
I just want to say, I was there the night of WrestleMania 23 when when the Hardys were in the Indie Hotel, right? There was the WWE Hotel and there was the Indie Hotel, and Matt Hardy had fell out with Jeff, right? And there'd been that stuff on the internet, and they're all putting screenshots of text up on the internet, and I've got this they've got this mega feud, man. And I'm sitting in the lobby having a wee drink with Jeff and Karen, and then the Hardy Boys come, and they're obviously going to WrestleMania. They've got their bags and all that, and fucking, Grado, how you doing? Who you here with? I'm like, Jeff, and all that. Right, mate, catchy. And it was brilliant, man, because I ended up watching like WrestleMania with Jeff and all that, and fucking JB was heavy muckered up with the Hardy Boys, right? Because he came up with all the stuff, man, and it was like hilarious watching the reaction when the Hardy Boys come out. There's pure awkward silence in the room up here. They're clearly gutted, but I mean they're on WWE now. But at the time, it was funny just seeing them just pure. Absolutely, you're all right.
Ben says high energy for the clothes, big bright trousers and braces. Wish I knew where they bought them. Fraser says the addiction. Frankie Kazarian and Christopher Daniels entertaining as a team since their TNA days, and their trio as SCU with Scorpio Sky helped them continue as a team. Dylan says it's a tough one, but Golden Lovers, Kenny Omega and Kota Ibushi, very good pick.
Come on.
Very good pick. Aldos Tash says Arn Anderson and Tully Blanchard. Good on,
shout.
Legit. ADI, probably the Hardys, but man, Head Cheese were a missed opportunity. Great fun tag team. Man.
That was funny.
Big Chris, Funaki and Scotty Too Hotty, hands down. Come on, you wido. The best thing about Velocity, aside from Todd Grisham, of course. Kyle says LOD is my favourite tag team of all time, but in my opinion, the Dudley Boys are the best team ever. Psycho for me says, I think it's got to be the New Age Outlaws. Looking back to when I was a kid watching them when they were class, hated them when they were heel, more than I've ever hated anybody at that time. When they threw Mick Foley and Terry Funk off that stage in the dumpster, it had me glued. What a great match that was.
That was good. Xander
says, of the modern era, it would have to be the Bucks. Of all time, I'd have to say Arn and Tully, no question. And no nonsense, tough as fuck tag team. Agreed. I never even thought about Arn and Tully. Jan says Xavier Woods and Brad Maddox. Does that count as a... Come on. I'm more reading that. John, come on now. That's why we get fucking cancelled. Mark says the Iron Jew with Grado and Colt Cabana.
Oh, I forgot about that.
They would have took the world by storm and fucked up any tag team that stood in their way.
Aye.
So I will
try to get us in the next 2 months, but Colt wasn't into it.
So last week we launched a retro review where we were all going to look back at ECW's Heatwave 98, and I hope you all did your homework, because let me tell you something. I certainly did. I did. I watched the show. I know you probably thought I wouldn't have watched the show, but I did watch the show. I didn't realise at that point the show had been canned right enough for I fucking wouldn't have bothered. I had a couple of hours of my life free again. But I watched it. It was an enjoyable pay-per-view. Now, here's my quick review, right? Obviously we went long tonight already, but I just want to give you my quick review. I've never really been a massive fan of Rob Van Dam. And so it was hard for me watching that Hayabusa and Shinzaki match because it was me watching these Japanese wrestlers that I really love going up against Rob Van Dam and Sabu are no for me, you know what I mean? So that match wasn't for me, right? That's the first thing I want to say is that match wasn't for me. I'm going, look at these amazing Japanese wrestlers jobbing to these two losers, right? It was kind of my vibe. Watching that. I want to say, however, the thing that struck with me, I really enjoyed, I was really quite surprised. I really enjoyed the Just Incredible match more than I thought I would. And I always like watching Lance Storm. I know people...
Did you watch the legal version or did you watch it on the network?
I have to confess that I watched it on network, mate.
Aye, I should have tried better to get that tape.
Just for convenience. It was interesting to see Chris Candido there. It was weird to see a lot of people who it was quite a sad pay-per-view to watch.
Because they're all dead.
Well, particularly because I love the Taz and Bam Bam Bigelow match, by the way, because I loved Bam Bam Bigelow.
How good was Bam Bam Bigelow, man?
I mean, just tough guys, just thick as fuck, man. Like big, thick, heavy set dudes.
Did they not go missing for a couple of years before then he resurfaced, but then he died?
There was something weird.
I don't know,
there was something going on.
Somebody was, I think a bunch of wrestlers must have been like, when's the last time you heard from Bam Bam Bigelow? And they're like, easy for a year.
Well,
he surely...
Well,
Tatanka and Mike Awesome.
Masato Tanaka and Mike Awesome. That match was, but I think we've spoken about it before. I'm sure we've spoken on this show about how great Mike Awesome was.
Oh, fucking loved him, man. Absolutely adored Mike Awesome. That's actually a death when I think about. I get really sad about it because I actually think if he was still here with the way the business has worked out, he could have came back, man.
He was. There's some. It's a weird thing where they always talk about wrestlers having star quality or just having it or something. And Mike Awesome was a guy you look at who looked kind of like generic, like he maybe wouldn't have star quality. But the minute he went into the ring and you just saw the stuff he could do, and he was so strong, and there was just something about him. He definitely had some kind of magic about him, Mike Awesome. You know what I mean?
I get really sad when I watch the One Night Stand show, right? Because I know Mike Johnson for PW Insider, right? He is front row, and Mike was very much involved in ECW and all that, the politics here. I don't know where he was involved backstage. I think he was, but he was just a mega fan. And I hate watching it back. And I love Mike. I love Mike to death. He's a great guy. I met him in New York at a show. But he is tearing into Mike Awesome for the whole jumping ship to WCW. And I think even Joey Styles is getting battered into him and off through the matches, you know.
Aye.
And the bigger picture now, and you look at it, you think, fuck me, man, do you know what I mean? How sad is this that, you know, probably his most watched match that's ever going to be seen because of the network is a match where there's a guy in the front row just totally fucking burying him, man. The commentators burying him, and I just feel sorry for the big lumpy guy. Do you know that way? It's really sad, man.
And I kind of feel like Mike Awesome was always good. I kind of feel like he never disappointed me. Do you know what I mean? I was always like watching, always being, look at this big fucking legitimate big dude powerbombing guys all the show. No. You know what I mean? Just wonder what it was. You know?
I mean, I know what it's like in terms of like, when you hear about the stories about ECW and how checks were bounced, fucking, I don't think there was as much as Paul Heyman writing them out in fucking a bit of paper and that. But, you know, you can understand why he went for the Yankee dollar. Do you know what I mean? Why he jumped shit. Obviously, it wasn't the right way, but man, he's got wains to feed. He's got to do it, man.
Everybody back then were all fucking jumping about everywhere and all that and chasing the dollar, you know what I mean? It's like, fuck that, man. The fascinating thing about the pay-per-view was every time I look at Tommy Dreamer, I'm kind of like, it's fucking mad that Tommy Dreamer was like in the main event of these. I don't mean that in a bad way.
And he's trackies and all that.
I mean, I totally get why that fan, but he was totally like the right guy in the right place at the right time. I totally get why the fans were behind that guy, you know. because it was like, it could never happen again. I kind of feel like it could never happen again where a guy like Tommy Dreamer would be in the main event, a hot promotion.
I don't know, man. Why did you say that? Because of the way he looks? Because he just looks like a pure cunt who would want in a bank?
It's not so much that obviously it looks like a guy who could certainly batter me, but he
there he was wrestling at the weekend. You know what I mean?
I know he wasn't particular. He's not particularly. It's not like he was outstanding in the ring.
I get it.
It wasn't even particularly amazing promo, and wasn't he like? Didn't he have an amazing look? I mean, certainly didn't have an amazing look. But it's just fascinating that he does have an appeal though. He has a kind of everyman appeal that's kind of like, that could be me, that could be like one of the fans in there, it could be me in there. Right. He has a similar appeal to the appeal I think Kevin Owens has. Mm-hmm. Kevin Owens has that appeal where I think the fans watch him and go, that could be me. The difference is Kevin Owens is an amazing promo and is an absolutely amazing professional wrestler as well, as fucking dynamite in the ring, you know what I mean? But he has that look that's kind of like a Tommy Dreamer-esque kind of look where it's like punters could think, well, that could be me in there. Anyway, I really did enjoy the pay-per-view. It wasn't as, for some reason in my head, I always think ECW pay-per-views are really trashy, and it was actually like a much better professional wrestling pay-per-view than I expected. Do you know what I mean?
Right. I know what you mean, but do you miss that kind of in terms of the grittiness and the undergroundness and there's no fireworks and everything? It's just, you know what I mean, there's a rest, there's a match, and then you see the cunt walk to the bat, and then, you know what I mean, the other guy comes out half the time to meet each other. And I love the arenas, maybe.
Mate, this is it. It's the big reset. This is the thing, though. This is what's interesting. It's why it's going to be even more important going forward, I think, for people to watch old wrestling events and old wrestling pay-per-views, because this pandemic is the big reset button. Like, things are not going to be the same again. Wrestling promotions are not going to be the same in Scotland as they were before this pandemic hit. Wrestling promotions in other countries in the world, things are going to go in a new direction again. They're going to go in a new direction again. Now's the time, I think, we're going to see the biggest cultural shift in the way professional wrestling works. And it's just a shame this podcast's not going to be there to cover it. Anyway, it looks like nobody else watched it, Grado, just to tell you. Kieran says it's on my desk, I just forgot to put it in my bag. And David says the Doug 80s network. So that's that. And listen, this is where we want to out of you. Basically, this is the end of the show, and this is the end of this show and the end of the run of certainly our part of the podcast, me and Grado together, unless something miraculous happens. So we're going to turn it over to you guys, and really it's all in your hands, the listeners. We are going to hustle and try and work out a way to bring the show back. The John is doing dealings behind the scenes to try and work out ways we can bring this show back. If there's anything we've learned about the wrestling business, it's that nothing dies forever or dies for long. Business gets done behind the scenes, things can change. So let's just see what happens. But please do be in touch and let us know how you're feeling about this. Grado, do you want to sum this up and wrap it up?
Well, I just want to say, first of all, I always wanted to do a podcast, and I always wanted to do a wrestling podcast. If it one started, that was great. But then when I got the opportunity to come on here and be so laid back and really answer anything that you want to know and speak to you, Rab, as two pals, which we really are, and I think that comes across. You know what I mean? We can talk all day long about anything. And John is a fucking great installment sitting up there. I know we give him dogs abuse now and again, but he really has done well. But if this is the last episode, man, I just want to thank everybody who's listened to the show, who's tweeted and made us laugh, because I'm sure every person that submitted something has made me laugh. I want to thank to Louise Westy. I've not actually liked her tweet yet about that Best of Grado video on TNA. I did watch that. That was good. That was class. It was good. But I've loved it, Rab. Coming on here every week and just talking shit about wrestling, because I've got a lot off my mind. Sorry if I've repeated myself now and again, rehash stories, but you definitely have shown that there is a fucking nice community out there with wrestling. There's really cool folk and they can make us laugh. And there's my body coming in. Right. Is that bad? I don't know.
I feel the same. It's been a great run, great fun. It's been
Stephanie.
great to hang out with a pair of pals and
Wrestling Daft getting cancelled.
and do the show.
Yeah.
It's been great, and it's just been great to be able to have an
Wrestling
excuse to
Daft
talk about
cancelled.
wrestling and have an excuse to say, hey, I'm going to watch some wrestling.
I'm just going to tell
It's my job. It's my
Sorry,
job. I'm going to watch some wrestling.
we've been cancelled. The company and all that. They need. John's too busy to do wrestling. Talk about wrestling for a couple of hours every week. Right. Okay. You don't seem that bothered. Oh, did I? All right. Okay. Apparently, so.
So she just exposed
fucking-
that she just
What?
exposed.
She's wanting me to greet.
You were just exposed there
What's
for being
sympathy?
a work. I think it's nice that the show ended with a work there. Beautiful. Listen, everybody, thanks so much for listening. Any point picking a listener of the week, really. But please do, if you've listened to this, rate it, review it, subscribe on Apple. Listen to the Marks on their podcast. Please do that. They have an interview with Enzo this week. And take a visit to our Patreon and see what you can do. It would be nice to come back if your dad owns if he does people's windies.
Aye.
Tell him he gives a shout and we'll talk about his windies for half an hour. All right.
If
Grado.
you're selling a bit of green or whatever, just fucking
Grado, it's yourself.
up the road. No, up the road.
Aye. Up the road it is, Up the road.